Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of It Gets Butter. On this episode, we have a chef, a father, a friend of mine. We have the great Patrick Gossett on the podcast. So happy to have him here. He's a great chef. He also has a great laugh. You get to hear that throughout the podcast. A couple things we talk about. We get to talk about the comfort of like communal food, a food that brings everybody to the table and everybody sharing. In fact, we get two recipes in this description from him, and we should get two. He's a chef. And we also talk about what it's like being a father, something he knows about, I don't, and find out how being a father and the responsibilities come with that when your child gets diagnosed with something like cancer. So we dive into his journey and his daughter's journey. We have a great talk about all the times we've worked together. And I hope you enjoyed the episode. Let's get right into another episode of It Gets Butter. All right, welcome everybody to another episode of It Gets Butter. I don't remember which podcast I was doing. It Gets Butter, podcast about comfort food, struggling times, and how we get through both of them. I am joined by a very good friend of mine, friend for almost a decade now, longer?
Maybe longer.
Longer, because you were there when I started comedy, and that's been 11 years, yeah. Over a decade. He's been an executive chef. He's been a chef de cuisine. He's been a food and beverage director. He's been in the industry for 20 plus years. I'm happy to have you as a friend, Chef Patrick Gossett. It feels weird not calling you Chef Patrick, by the way, because you've always been Chef Patrick, right? But you're just my friend Patrick. So welcome to the podcast. Thanks for doing it.
I'm excited.
All right, well, temper that. We try not to get too excited on the podcast. No, so and here's what I'm learning about, and the podcast is ever evolving, right? That's how everything is as we start something. It's cool because I'm having, my friends on, but then I'm finding out more about my friends, which is kind of a cool thing to do. Yeah. So that's been kind of a real fun part of it. So first question for you, Patrick, and I feel like I might know the answer, but what's your relationship with food like been in your life? How would you describe it?
I mean, honestly, growing up, it didn't play a key role in life to me. It wasn't something that, you had the standards at holidays and stuff like that, but you always see these families that it's grandma's recipes are coming out. It was grandma might have cooked her mac and cheese and that was great and it's always the same and it's good, but it was never heirloom recipe kind of growing up reality. And honestly, I found I always was the builder. I was always the guy that wanted to do something with my hands. Okay. And I kind of stumbled into culinary in high school and just fell in love with it. And I was like, hey, I can do this. I can.
Yeah, and done it well.
Yeah. And so it just kind of followed that path. And that's where food became a predominant part of my life, was probably in high school, where the exploration of food began for me. In that way, and trying new things. But I mean, growing up, you most certainly still had those comfort meals. You still had all those kind of things existed, and it was or just honestly weekly meals that just were wholesome enough for you to look forward to.
That's and so that's interesting you say that, because when I asked about your comfort food, and I try to ask, before a guest comes on, I try to get that comfort food and a recipe, and you were nice enough to share two recipes, because it's funny how you broke down your comfort food as two different ones. And it's, as you're kind of explaining it, there's one that kind of harkens back to your childhood, it sounds like. Yeah. And then there's a modern day comfort food.
Yeah, to an extent.
Yeah.
And I think I always just lean on cooking in general to get me through hard times. Okay. It's, I think coming over here, Tiffany even put it it's my love language. It's what, it's just kind of what, it makes me happy. It brings that joy. It's oh, try this. And I don't know. It's so cooking in general really brings me comfort in hard times. But yeah, I definitely, there's an evolution, and part of the evolution came from meeting my wife Tiffany. Was she loves my lasagna, and it's
and by the way, she's a chef in her own right.
Yes.
So she's also talented.
Yes, very much so. So it's she loves my lasagna. I've always liked my lasagna, but it's not one of those dishes that for me, it's here's your set in stone recipe. It's here's your pasta recipe. It's I'm going to go to the store and say oh, this cool farmhouse cheese. Yeah. It's very organic in the moment to produce the kind of the recipe. And it's But so then it goes back to that love language of why it comforts me now. Because it's like, it brings her comfort. She loves it so much. She'll tell you, anybody that asks, it's the favorite thing that I make for her. So it's like, that evolution came because now the way I show my love is through lasagna.
That's nice. And that's a nice get out jail free card for you.
Yeah, for sure. I keep them in the freezer.
But it's funny you say that because, like, I'm very much the same way. Like, when I cook, I don't have, like, people will be like, because I'll make something for Matt, and he'll send it to his cousin Cassie, and then she'll be like, can Jeff send me that recipe? And it's funny because, like, when I cook, I'll look up, like, 3-4 recipes for something, and then go, well, I got the gist of it. Mm-hmm. Like, so I'm not going by a recipe, I'm going by an idea of recipes.
For sure.
And it's funny you say that about lasagna, because lasagna to me is the exact same thing. It's that lasagna is going to be what that lasagna is. There's never a set recipe for me. It is. So I'm going to tell you 2 quick stories about lasagnas, and we're going to get into dive into your comfort food. And I think you'll appreciate both of these. The first one is a quick one about our mutual friend Amber when she used to live upstairs from me. She's another chef that worked with Patrick and me. But we were going to make a fancier lasagna, and we looked up like. Pioneer Woman or somebody's recipe had a cowboy lasagna. We're like, oh, we're gonna make cowboy. So like we made the pasta from scratch. We did all of this, and then we went out and we were at like a local market, and they had alligator sausage, and I was like, we're gonna use alligator sausage, and then there was pepperoni in it. Which, by the way, the only difference between regular lasagna and cowboy lasagna was adding pepperoni. I don't know what makes it cowboy. Whatever, Pioneer lady made that decision, but. So we're looking for pepperoni. We were at like Publix, and I was at an end cap, and I saw pepperoni. And I was like, hey, I found pepperoni. And she stopped in the middle of Publix, half an aisle down from me, and she went, what are you talking about? We have gator sausage. We're not using end cap pepperoni. And I was like, okay, it's cured meat. Like, we're good. But like we're not cheapening the pepperoni. But the other one, and I think you'll appreciate this, talking about family recipes. My mom's lasagna was my go-to. Like that was my comfort food. One of my comfort foods growing up. I loved my mom's lasagna. And so when I was in college, I was like, oh, I want that family recipe. Like that's why I was like, ooh, I want that family recipe. I'm gonna cook it for my friends, and I'm gonna have like an heirloom recipe, right? That's what I was really excited about to get. This was the first one I had thought of. And so I remember I was in the store and I called my mom and I said, hey, I'm cooking lasagna for my friends tonight. I want your lasagna recipe. And she goes, all right, you wanna go get Mueller's pasta? Only Mueller's, only use Mueller's. And I was like, because they're the best. I'm 19. Okay, you know what? This is where I was at in my life, all right? I was like, yeah, obviously only Mueller's. And I go to Mueller's and I have her on the phone and on my flip phone, and I get the Mueller's. She's like, do you have the Mueller's box? I said, I have it. And she was like, all right, turn it around. On the back is the recipe I use. And I was like, what? My heirloom family traditional recipe is just the back of the Mueller's box. I was very disheartened by that. And but so I've never really made some sense. And I don't really have those heirloom recipes because, again, they were just back of boxes is what I learned. But your other comfort food you sent was chicken pot pie, right?
And so that's another one that maybe there's some evolution. I think growing up, it was very much we're going to use like the chicken condensed soup and your very basic, this is a thrown together 2 pie crusts from the freezer. And it's like some days that still works for me as a comfort food. But then there's other times that you're just like, I'm going to amp this up. I'm going to make it all from scratch. And it does the same for me. It's just really generally chicken pot pie in general are these just like wholesome comfort foods. Moving to Florida makes it a little difficult because now it's like
better in the cold.
105 degrees and you're just like, oh, I'm at the beach with my pot pie. But I mean, just definitely growing up, I always leaned towards the chicken pot pie. It was one of those dishes that my mom executed consistently, so it was just like, oh, it's always going to be good.
Yeah, and I think for families too, especially for kids, like a chicken pot pie is the first place that you were being snuck vegetables in,
right?
Because you get like that kind of that ooey gooey, and there's chicken, and there's like it's warm, and it's kind of some milk, and you get all these like flavors of like cream, and you're into it.
Yeah,
but it's also like there's peas and carrots in there, and they're just sneaking it in on you
for sure.
I did notice in your recipe, which we'll put on the description of the podcast, that, and I just want to touch on this because it was another funny thing that I had to deal with in life. That you're fine with refrigerated pie crust. It's just store-bought pie crust? So one day for one holiday, I made pie crust from scratch. And I forget what pie it was. I made something, right, for the holidays. My parents came over. And I was like, yeah, I made all of this from scratch. And they were like, oh, yeah, it's really good. It was a cranberry pie. Okay. Right? Yeah, it was nice. It was something different. I just want to try something different. So made it all from scratch. And my parents were like, oh, that's really good. I said, yeah, I even made the pie crust from scratch. And they went, why? And I was like, I don't know, I'm making everything from scratch. And they were like, listen, never do that again. Literally nobody is going to be able to tell the difference from a store-bought frozen pie crust that you thaw and your homemade. When it comes to pie crust, they're like, nobody's going to bite into a pie and be like, this was made at home. Yeah. They're like, it's not worth your time. And I was like, all right. So that was a bit of an eye-opener for me. All right, so chicken pot pie goes back to kind of a childhood. And so you talked about that was your one thing that your mom executed kind of very consistently well. Were your parents good cooks growing up? Good enough?
Average, fed us, didn't like I didn't get this way because she couldn't cook.
I didn't want to say it clearly,
but I mean, again, it wasn't. Neither one of them had a passion for cooking, so it was more of a cooking necessity. Yeah. My mom likes to bake and has the fun during the holidays. I mean, we're gonna go over to a smorgasbord of cookies here around the holidays, which is great. That's her zen or whatever, but. No, there wasn't a passion behind cooking, maybe grill out some burgers, follow my dad, but otherwise it was, I think you're pretty simple here. Taco Tuesday, yeah. I did some ground beef. It was just simple food growing up, nothing crazy.
And the next thing we try to talk about on the podcast is kind of talking about some hard times, because with comfort food comes with why we need the comforting, right? Mm-hmm. So talking about a hard time, how you've gone through it, how you went through it, how you're going through it, because I have found on the first two episodes, everybody's still processing, and some of the stuff happened in the other guest 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and as you talk about it, you realize I'm still going through it. But I like to think that when you hear what other people are going through, sometimes it helps you realize either A, you can go through something too, or B, oh, that's how they were able to do it, and maybe that helps me. So that's one of the other parts of the podcast that we like to do. I'm going to open it up to you on what is your hard time that you've going through right now.
I think we're on the back side of it. So
knocking on wood on that.
Knocking on wood. Big time there. But the hardship that I can ever had in my life was my daughter being diagnosed with cancer at 2 months old. We had just moved down here. We moved from Nashville back down to Florida 6 days after she was born.
Right.
And then at her 2-month checkup, I'm looking for a job. We don't have health insurance. All the, everything that could be working against us was already working against us. And we went to Dr. Bo, who's up in the Wesley Chapel. And I will tell anybody that wants to hear me that this man saved my daughter's life, because most doctors probably would have simply diagnosed impacted stool and sent her on her way.
Okay.
Her abdomen was firm, and that was about the only...
That was the only symptom.
Only real symptom. She didn't show any discomfort. We didn't even go into this checkup with any concerns.
Yeah.
We went in because it's her 2-month checkup.
Yeah.
It was what it was. And we went in with zero concern. Just he felt her stomach and her abdomen and was just it's a little firm. Now getting to know him over the years, because he's still my kid's doctor, his wife worked in oncology.
Okay.
So it's we talk about my wife being a chef also. I think it's just you go home and you talk about work. Whether you want to or not, you go home and you talk about work. And I think that reality might be what has my daughter here today, because he decided to send us for x-rays instead of sending us home with a stool softener.
Yeah.
And, I still remember the gut-wrenching phone call of, I don't want to have this conversation over the phone. Can you come back into the office?
Which has made your heart,
Sure, you're only 15 minutes away, but if that wasn't the longest 15-minute car ride,
I can imagine.
we got there, and I just still can remember, he was locked and loaded on all our next steps. There was this is what you need to do. I'm going to get you down to St. Joseph's. They're going to admit you, and these are your next steps. And it was just like, awesome. We don't have to go to the drawing board. We didn't just have this giant nugget of hardship dropped on us, and then we had to scramble to figure out what our next care steps were. He's like, no, this is where you're headed now. This is what we saw. This is what needs to be done. And I mean, this was September 2021, so we're not fully out of COVID yet.
Right, yeah.
So we get down to St. Joe's, and we still have to go through the emergency. Even though a phone call's been made, one parent. There was no way around one parent. So now we're going through all this, and I'm sitting in my car.
Right, yeah.
Tiffany's in there with my daughter, and I'm waiting on updates. We're not getting updates as quickly as obviously parents that just had this dropped on them would want. And I mean, you know me, I'm not the most rational at times. So, so obviously a moment
You're
like
passionate,
this,
we'll say.
a moment like this, my head's spinning and I don't feel like I have any control over the situation.
Yeah.
I've just been like locked out. I mean, I still remember when I finally did get to come in under like managerial sign off and all this stuff. But then they were like, okay, and we're going to admit you. But now only one parent up there. And I was basically, luckily we had nurses who, again, being in the hospitality industry, put hospitality above all else, which is amazing. Because I'm like mentally ready to fight. Like, I'm like, you're going to drag me out of here. Like, call security now if you think you're not about to have both parents in that room tonight. Like, I dare you. Like, bring it. Like, we're going to go out. And it never came to that. Like, thank goodness. Like, I didn't want it to come to that. But like,
no, obviously you don't want to fight doctors and nurses. Obviously you don't. Most people.
But like, it's just one of those things that like you just got this gut punch of bad news, and it was like, no, you're not taking me away from my daughter.
Yeah,
you're just not. Like, I don't care. I don't care what the COVID circumstances are. I don't care anything like that. And I mean, like we met one of her oncologists that night, like the one that had to break the bad news to us. And then it's like, you're in this hospital and you're going through all this, but we got that diagnosis, and it was earlier in the week, and I think it was Thursday, Friday that week, I had a tasting for a job, and you're just like, you want to learn how to compartmentalize like your brain, and it's like, but again, it's leaning on the cooking. It was my comfort. I like went in there and bawled out because it was my like zen. It was my like safe place for that moment. That's what you can control. Yeah, right. Like, exactly. You know, you can't control this. This is going out of control. 100%. And now, but you know what you're good at is cooking. You know it brings you, and so like, I'm sure going into that, you were like, not only can I control this, I can try to make this the best possible. Yeah. Because I don't have that. No, I don't have that access to everything else right now. So for sure, talk about laser focused on it. Yeah, and it's just, and you had to turn into that, and it's one of those things. I mean, and then it doesn't just stop there. Like, you get that first round of chemo, but it's not like, oh, and then she's done. But then we get the results back, and it's minimal to no progress. You know, she has it on her adrenal glands. She has it in her liver. So what type of cancer was it? It was neuroblastoma. Okay. So it's more common. Neuro automatically draws people to the brain. You hear it, but nervous system is. But really nervous system is what it was, and so went through 6 rounds of chemo. 6 rounds of chemo on a 2-month-old is. So it was over 5 months, and she basically did them like 2 rounds at a time, and it'd be 1 round, about a 3-week break to just get her vitals back up, and then another round. And I mean, we had to do blood transfusions, we had to do platelet transfusions, and I mean, like, the oncology team down at St. Joseph's here in Tampa was just incredible through it all. But like, the little things that you learn through all of this is like the network that like someplace like I'm known, especially now like holiday time, you hear St. Jude on all these radios. Is like, everybody hears that as like one hospital, like, but no, like they cast a net. Like Dr. Larkin and Dr. Lone are my daughter's oncologists, and they're great, but Dr. Larkin came from St. Jude. There's so many that branch out, but then it's like there were also so many calls that they're sitting with a board of people up there on a Zoom call talking about my daughter's case with these people that are up in Memphis, Tennessee. And getting the best things. And I mean, you're getting just some of the best, and it's because you have some of these hospitals that basically can like field out their knowledge, and it's just making leaps and bounds for what's like very underfunded when it comes to like what federal funding for cancer. Very little gets to pediatric.
Yeah, I can imagine. And I know it's interesting because of I'll speak from my own experience. I mean, as you know, with my ex, if you remember, like when he got diagnosed with cancer, I was working with you at the time, and but the amount of times the story is, it took one doctor to say, this isn't right, I want to send you here, as opposed to just, because he had gotten pawned off a couple different times. They were like, because his back was bothering him. So they sent him to a chiropractor a couple times. And then it was like, well, his back was bothering him because he had multiple myeloma and it had eaten little holes in all of his bones.
Yeah.
And one of his vertebrae was about to shatter. So, and then again, they didn't know it was cancer, but it was the spine specialist who was doing the surgery said, you're too young for this to happen. Something's not right. So during the surgery, he pulled a biopsy just because he felt this wasn't right. And it just took one doctor to get to that doctor to say, this doesn't feel right. And then that to find out, well, this is what you have. And then the phone calls to start and got him into Moffitt, but it was listen, we're going to get you to this guy. This guy's going to be the one that gets you into the system. And what I have found with, and it's so good, again, that first doctor making that first gut call on it, and having the connections to get into that system, I have found the systems are amazing. St. Jude, Moffitt, they're amazing. The hangups are getting into that system.
Yep.
And somehow, and you don't want to overload this. The reason the system works is maybe because it's not overloaded. You can't, that's a weird balance type thing. But yeah, once you're in the systems are great. And they could probably use a lot more federal funding. Like you said, you're probably a lot more involved in and aware of that, especially as you said with pediatric oncology.
Yeah.
Because you got to assume, I assume the percentage of that is smaller, so therefore the budget's going to be smaller. But at the same time, the care for it seems that much more surgical, forget the pun on it, because you're dealing with this body's developing as this is developing in the body.
Yeah.
We need to stop this while leaving this. It sounds so much more complicated.
I mean, and that's the thing is chemo's killing all cell development.
Yeah.
So not just bad cells.
Yeah.
Chemo's killing all good cells. So you have this 2-month-old that's now getting hit with chemo and all her developing cells are down. Nothing. So now there's zero development. So now it's like you're talking to other people that it's like these people aren't doctors. Now we're talking about, is this going to have any setbacks in other development, like educationally and things like that? And like we've been lucky enough that, I mean, because Tiffany's able to stay home with her and work with her and and reading with her and just like little things, like she's on track and we've had to not lean on any of those things. So like we are very blessed in that way. But I mean, after we finished chemo with her, she then underwent surgery she has like one of her adrenal glands was removed. The polyps were taken off the other one. And, we were able to fight everything through the liver with chemo.
Okay.
And you do the annual scans, which is a pain in itself, but just to check up on everything. We completed those annual scans, though. July of this year was her last scan, all clear. She's like fully in remission. Now we just monitor with like blood and urine analysis like once a year to make sure nothing looks irregular, but there's still more coming down the pike. There's like chemo can have like cardio issues. Like there's gonna be
as she grows.
Like like her she's not out of the woods yet by any means. Yes, cancer wise, thank goodness she's out of that, but the stress and the burden she had to put on her body to get rid of it. Like, I mean, your adrenal glands are what literally help combat stress when you get like the burden of your body takes like when you get sick. Yeah. So only having like one of those, it's like as soon as she gets the sniffles, we're treating it. Like it's like there's no and it was a lot. But I mean the other thing is there's social elements that like people like not knowing everybody's story. And like, I'll be honest, I think this has made me more like in the know of, you don't know what people are going through.
Sure,
Because like, I think that at times people might see my children, they're much better now, but there were times that like they were probably socially awkward.
Sure.
But we also had to put ourselves in a bubble of no germs. And so my son wasn't being socialized. My daughter wasn't being socialized. Us as new parents weren't being socialized.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden we kind of get into pre-K with my son at 4 years old. And that's like our first social interaction. Like, sure, they did some play dates here and there. But like those kind of elements are things like the family's life gets turned upside down as soon as a diagnosis like this comes through. And they happen on the regular. So it's just the understanding that, okay, this might be the person that has the medical burden on them, my daughter, but there is a massive burden that comes with everything else. And I mean, and you talk about getting into these systems. I mean, a lot of it's insurance too. A lot of like the roadblocks that insurance puts up to treat these high cost illnesses is ridiculous. The hoops that we'd have to jump through to get on special lists just to have an out-of-network coverage for an MRI, but you couldn't take it to in-network because they want to keep it in the hospital because that's where her oncology team is, and then get the results exponentially faster. And, you know, all those things that one party is doing it because it's policy, and then I feel like the insurance companies take those policies and find the loopholes to manipulate them to like their own benefit, that they're like, oh, they want you to stay in-house. Oh, but we're not going to make that in-house person in network.
Yeah. And I find a lot of that, and again, it goes back to a lot of that pushing through insurance sometimes is one doctor saying, no, we're going to make this happen type thing. So it's amazing what one really good doctor can push forward. And the thing is like, they have so much going on in general of all of their patients that the fact that they have to push forward against like insurance companies and so on as well, insurance companies is a whole nother
that's a
whole nother headache of things. So one of the questions I ask about going through kind of the hard times, and obviously you're not out of it yet. I want to touch on real quick, and I don't know if you've ever had this perspective on it. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. I have a good friend of mine whose daughter, Sophie, who named my special, Fatty Gay. She has a bit of a rare disease called PG1. It's a longer name, but it's PG1. There's like 1,000 people in the U.S. with it or something. Like, it's one of those type diseases. But she's had it since like very early on. So Sophie goes to the hospital a lot. Same thing. And when she gets sick, she's being taken care of. If temperature for more than 2 days, she goes to the hospital. So she goes to the hospital a lot. But that's all Sophie knows. So it is, I think it'll come up more. She's 5 right now, I want to say.
Or you're Sophie?
Sophie's 5 right now. So maybe as she socializes more, she's going to learn that, not, as kind of we've talked about prior, that like, you find out, like, my family's a little bit different because everybody else is this. But Sophie doesn't know any different. So for us, we think, this is such a hardship because this is outside of what my normal life is. And you never want your kid's normal life to be in hospitals. But if we're looking at a silver lining in life type thing, if they don't know, if that is their normal life, they don't know that it's a burden type thing. They don't know.
For sure. And I mean, we see it. We see it from my son to my daughter, going to the dentist, going to the doctor. Son, mortified, like won't let a dentist into his mouth. Daughter basically could fall asleep at these places and just be like, poke, prod me, do whatever, because
this is how I grew up.
Yeah, this is what it was. And I think I mean, there's a lot of that you can definitely see it. You can.
So maybe there's an ease of care because you had to do it at a younger age. And I think, listen, you never want that at a young age.
No.
But I think there's a emotionally, the person going through it, the kid going through it, goes through it a bit easier because they don't know the harsh difference of not having that.
No, for sure. And I mean, now she sees the going to the doctor, but I mean, from 2 months old.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we were out of chemotherapy before she was 1. She'll never remember going through chemo.
Yeah,
Like,
so-
long term, she'll have the understanding as to why she needs to continue to go to the doctor, but she'll have no memory of
It
what she
affected
went
her
through.
body and you guys emotionally.
Yeah.
But it didn't have to, that's not affecting her emotional state as she goes older type
For
thing.
sure.
Yeah. So there's again, never wish that on it, but, in silver lining of it, it's nice that she's not going to be remembering that. And because chemo's not fun, there's no good chemo. It's good what it does, but like it's also horrible what it does.
Yeah.
And it's rough.
No, for sure. And I mean, and again, we talk about development, but like even disciplinary. You think I disciplined my kid while she was going through
Oh, yeah.
chemo or going through any of this in life? Like, this kid's battling cancer. You think I was like, no. So like maybe there's like looking at it now that she's 4, like, yeah, like some of that we're like working through some stuff right
Maybe we
now.
need to start
Like maybe we
can tighten up there.
Yeah, and things along those lines. But yeah, it's just it's hard. It's hard because there's no blueprint for how you do it compared to how this person does it, because mentally it might not affect that person nearly as much. That person might be able to be like, listen, I just need to do this, and that wasn't who we were.
Yeah,
we were
yeah.
very much the people that were just like, who'd we piss off in this universe?
Right.
Like, why is this
Yeah, get
happening
over the
to
being
us?
angry at it type thing.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah.
Did you get over it? Are you still angry?
No, I love all her doctors, but I was ready to start applying to some of these programs like St. Jude after the first test results, and that's where having somebody level-headed like Tiffany's like, no, we're going to take a deep breath. Like, this is just the start of this progress. And I mean, you want to talk about like learning if you have the right partner in life or not. Like, go through something like that, and like if you both come out the other side still loving each other, like you pick the right person. But like it comes back to like, I mean, we've talked about her being a chef, like work ethic too. Like she had a great work ethic as one of the things that I was attracted to. And then like in that moment, like the same way I managed at work, like she was the general manager of our household.
Nice.
And just owned the shit out of it. And like, we probably, who knows what would have happened if I had to do this without her. Like if I would have had to do that by myself.
But also probably funny enough that that both of your backgrounds played into that role pretty well, because both of you kind of have been, chefs and in charge in a kitchen multiple times. So you both also understand in any setting, somebody needs to take charge here. Right? But at the same time, being chefs and cooks, you've been in that situation where when somebody takes charge, like there's also that same thing of like, somebody else is in charge. I know what I need to do is listen to them. Yeah. Because that kind of mentality is how a kitchen runs.
For sure.
There's a voice and there's a yes chef. And so and obviously you can do both, and you've done both in your professional life. But I think maybe that even just having that work ethic, your own work ethic, and working in that industry, when Tiffany steps up and says like, I'm in charge now, you've been in a place where people have stepped up and been in charge, and you go, yep, yes, chef, what do I need to do?
For sure.
And it helps your mentality of like focusing.
And at that time, it's like, and I'm trying to find a job, and I'm trying to make sure that our household has income of some sort. So like, I almost look at it as like a CEO and a CFO.
Sure.
Like, like she's the CEO, and like she's going to make sure everything's there, and I'm going to do my part to structure this household, but I'm probably more replaceable than she is, kind of thing, It might not be a drastic difference, but definitely easier to replace me than it would her.
A winning lottery ticket could replace you. What type of? Because so you're going through that, and your daughter was 2 months when it started, and she's 4 now.
So I mean, what 2020? So she was like 2 when we officially got the remission stamp.
Okay. So I would say, I always ask as you were going through something to try to tie it all back together, like what type of role did food play? And it seems consistently for you, by the way, food plays more of a role in you making it than eating it. Do you get more? Do you enjoy making it more? Is it both? You enjoy making it for other people more?
I think especially the lasagna element, I enjoy, but then I also enjoy something of like that casserole. Like these dishes are also ones that like you can just put down in the middle of a table, and now you've just fed your family, kind of like reality. And my son has grown to love lasagna. That might have been because we were eating it like Garfield through all of this, but he absolutely loves lasagna, which is great because we will eat it relatively frequently. But it was just like one of those meals that it provided comfort and just like a moment of solidarity as a family too. Like we set this lasagna down, we're all eating dinner. It's like nourishment. It's just that like providing, like just kind of having that moment of something's on track right now. Yeah. Something's like, and you got to sit back and you got to just, it's just like you had that breather. And like, really that's what like lasagna or any of these comfort meals and just cooking in general, just being like, listen, I put together, it took time. This wasn't just some taco meat in a pan, like because I needed this outlet because I didn't have it over here, and and it's like I could control this, like we've talked about. It's like I know how to do this. And I don't know how to do that.
And that cooking gives you kind of a time to collect yourself before the dinner and so on too. And just kind of focus on
for sure. So then you sit down and then you have that family meal and it's everybody around the table. And then I mean that was back before Tiffany and I are downloading each other on what happened, but like now it's grown into like we're talking to our kids around that table. Like at that time they weren't responding. But
you were talking about they're getting into schools now, right? Yeah. So now you're going to be able to catch up on the day, and that family time is kind of that's become the point of food for you now. Which is and by the way kind of interesting because that was. Your childhood comfort food of the chicken pot pie seems like it came from the family dinner type.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think it all stems back around food. I think food just brings like everybody together in general. Yeah. Like it's an easy place to start. Like whether it's a party, whether like food and beverage is like the easiest thing to do to bring people together because you don't even need a reason. Hey, I made a whole lasagna for a family of 4. You want to stop by and have dinner? I got a pan. I can feed 12.
Yeah, exactly.
And it could be something as simple as that, but it just brought somebody together.
Nice.
And it's little things. It doesn't have to be a lot.
No. And that's just it. And just any kind of, like we said, any type of cooking that you kind of put your heart into, and just like I made this for you. It just seems like a nice. Kind of break, and like you said, it brings people together, which is really nice.
And I mean,
be it family or whatever.
Yeah, and I think like growing up too, that was the thing. Is it was like our household was never the closed door household. You want to have 20 of your friends over because that's who you're playing in the neighborhood. You're welcome in our house, and like I see it even now having kids, and maybe I didn't realize it as much back then. Like looking back now, I can be like, oh yeah, we didn't go into that kid's house, or we didn't go like we just like there were kids that parents were like, no, I'm not. You're not messing up my house, and that's fair. Like as a parent, I mean, I think in a weird way because it was meant as a compliment, but somebody told us like our house looks lived in, and I'm like, I think that's a compliment. I'm going to take it as a compliment, but I get what you mean. Like not everything's so perfect in place.
Not a museum. Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things. So I try to like still mimic that same household. Cause like, I mean, even like moving down here and making new friends, and like when we moved from Michigan, and it was still the same thing. It was like my house became the hangout spot. It was like, where is everybody? They're at my house. And I think now as a parent looking back on it, I think it was smart of my parents. Like they knew where I was all the time.
That's smart. Yeah. My parents did that a lot too. My parents loved my friends coming over. They loved them come over for dinner. And then, like, when we got to the age that we started drinking or we started doing anything, my parents were pretty much like, listen, you can have a party here while we're here, but your kids are putting your keys over here. Your friends aren't driving. They're going to spend the night. Mm-hmm. But they were like, listen, if you're either going to do it in front of us or you're just going to do it and lie to us. So this is what their best option was. But yeah, they loved having people over. They loved board games, which they loved friends coming over to play board games. All right, question to you is, any advice, having gone through what you've gone through, what would be your advice to somebody out there going through something?
I mean, there's a lot of advice. The one thing that I'll say, like, and what I think helped Tiffany was like getting to meet people going through something simple. So like, don't
think you're alone.
Don't think you're alone, but like then don't be afraid because like our oncology people will be like, oh, this person, I want to introduce you, and you're like, no, I don't, because you almost don't want to be like they're going through their own thing. I don't want to be a burden on them. Like, but like at the same time, even if it's a small connection, you guys might get to just get a little something off your chest, like both of you, because like they're coming with those same hesitations. Is what you have to realize is that these people aren't like hired by the hospital to be like the couple, the go-to couple for them to introduce everybody to. No, this is them trying to be like, listen, you're not alone. And so I would say definitely like lean into that a little bit more. I think it took us a little while as new parents on top of all this to just like lean in, because I mean, I think you constantly compare yourself to other parents too. There's no way around it. So I think some of that's like, I don't want to feel like I'm like, we're all going through some shit. Like, I don't want to feel like I'm being comparative or judgmental or anything along those lines. So that, but I also just think that like one way or another, it might not be the outcome that you want, but like one way or another, like good, like there's a good something's coming. Like,
sure.
Like I don't want to sound morbid or anything that, but like no matter what, I've only seen like good come from everything I've saw. Like whether it's a charitable foundation is founded because an angel was born, or whether it's we get to grow and prosper with our kids. Like there is something positive will always come out of it, and like whatever beacon of light you're meant to be is who you'll be. But it's not easy. Like that's my biggest thing is this. It's not meant to be easy, but like it's put on your path for a reason, and like not everybody can handle it. And like there's plenty of people that it does break, and there's plenty of people that it doesn't work out the same way it worked out for us, and I know that, and that wrecks me. I mean, I'm on my way over here, like having to compose myself before I come in because you hear these St. Jude commercials on the radio, and they're talking about it, and they're talking about the beginnings, and the beginnings being like the same beginnings that I had, but then you get to the end, and they don't get to have that same ending that I had, and like that's gut wrenching, but that person took the time to get on the radio to try to earn $1 so that maybe another family couldn't go through that. So like you have to have that respect for that person and be like, listen, you took a negative and are trying to turn it into a positive, and I appreciate you for that. But then just like I've said, you have no clue what anybody's going through. You don't know how it affected me was not how it affected Tiffany, and we're in the same household and we have the same end goals. And this didn't affect us the same. So like don't ever think that you know what somebody's going through, but always be there as a listening ear for what somebody's going through.
I think that's really good advice is absolutely. Because like you said, even if you know the circumstances, you don't know how they're processing. You don't know their background to what they're processing. You know what I'm saying? Especially with something like cancer, because it affects so many people and so many people outside of who it's actually affected, right? Is that like you don't know how many people in their family had cancer prior, what they've lost prior, and why this is affecting them so much. So that's actually really good advice.
When I was in high school, I did 1 year here at Tampa Catholic, and I remember we lost a classmate during that year, and they were putting on like a mass or a ceremony, like a remembrance kind of thing, and all the students, and like it stuck with me. One of my teachers at the time just simply said, you're going to want to walk up to this family, and you might have lost your grandfather last month, and you're going to want to walk up to him and be like, I know what you're going through. And he said, I'm going to tell you right now, you have no fucking clue what they're going through.
Yeah, that's good.
And at the end of the day, like that's just stuck with me, because it's not a matter of not understanding their circumstances. It's not understanding their emotional state. So
in that moment.
Because I mean, you walk up and you say that, and that could turn somebody's day. Like that could be like, no, you have no clue. Like, why would somebody insult? Like, and it could be coming
from a great place, but it's not.
And so it's like I'm not gonna say be afraid to go talk to people about it, because that's not like talk. Be vocal. Like again, I think that us as new parents, we were so closed off because you don't know, like how, oh, hey, it's nice to meet you. My daughter had cancer. Like where's this transition? And like, even at work, in the workplace, it's
really
like
casually
like I want HR to know, because if she's sick, like you might not get a phone call. I might just disappear. Like if something happens, like she's my priority. So like, I want you to know, but I also don't want to be like in the interview, because I'm not saying that it would affect me, but like there's definitely people out there who'd be like, oh yeah, and by the way, my daughter has this illness. And then they're gonna just be like, oh, does this guy need to take time off all the time? You know, and before you're employed, like, so like there's all these things that go through your head that like a normal person doesn't think about.
And that's definitely good points. And that's and it's funny because when I went through it with my ex-Bob while I was at the restaurant, I told the supervisor, Tyler was his name. I was like, listen, you need to know this. I told management basically, like, you need to know this because, like, if I need to go, I'm going to go. Like, so just so you're aware. But I didn't really tell my coworkers until well into it because it was just one of those, like, I didn't want to have the conversation. And also, I didn't want to deal with it, right?
Yeah.
Like, first of all, I need to know what I'm dealing with. I need to process it. I need to help, Bob go through it. Like, my priorities are not the people I'm working with, but I'll fold them in when I'm ready.
Yeah.
But I need to get to that point and get my head around all of that, and that's a fair thing.
Yeah, because then you also don't want it to come off like you're seeking like attention or sympathy or anything like that, because it's not the case. It's more just cut and dry, black and white, factual is the reason I want you to know. And there's plenty of people that I've got to know on a personal level that have gone through similar struggles that then whether it's breast cancer or something else, that then, okay, you've just shared something with me. So now I feel very comfortable sharing a more personal, more this. But when it came to work, it was very much black and white. Like, you just need to know.
Yeah, this is not.
And I don't need you to comment.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not coming here for your feelings on it. This is a fact. This is what it is. You're aware. We can. I will tell you. So this is. You had brought up that regardless of outcome, there can be some good if you keep your mind open to that type of thing. And so when I was back in college and I was studying psychology and we studied counseling, and there's a philosophy that has stayed with me pretty strong throughout my life since college, and we were learning about a crisis, and I think this could constitute a crisis, right? And they taught us in the class that your timeline's going like this, and then when you hit a crisis, your timeline is forever changed, and that's what a crisis is. So take that however you want it to mean, but a crisis can be a very open word on it, but it is something that changes your timeline forever. And when you hit a crisis, you will either be better or worse, but you'll never be the same. And that's what a crisis does to you. And one of the things that fascinated me about that philosophy is that in the Chinese and Japanese language, their symbols for crisis is made up of two symbols, danger and opportunity. And so I love the fact that language has that philosophy built into it. Like, the word crisis is made up of danger and opportunity. And so when a crisis happens, if you can get your head around it, if you can get to the point where you can start seeing a path type thing, I think we can work our way to the opportunity side of that. And not everybody can get to that. And that's understandable, and that is not a knock on anybody.
Or just like anything, maybe not in the same time frame.
And that's
the biggest thing you got to remember is maybe we were able to do it in 2 years. It might take you 10 years before you can turn this sorrow into opportunity.
Yeah. And I think that was a great advice actually my ex gave me was, and this is just about like and a general advice. I was getting annoyed he wasn't doing something fast and that I wanted done. And he said, just because I'm not doing it at the speed you want doesn't mean it's not happening. And I was like, oh, fuck. First of all, that's great. Second of all, I still want you to do it faster. But that has stuck with me a lot, and that's a great point. That just because somebody's not healing at the same pace, it doesn't mean it's not happening. It's just you may not be able to see it happening. It still can be going. It just may not be at the pace, and that's what we have to remember is that not everybody thinks the way we do, processes the way we do, and does all of that the same way. The next thing I'll ask you is, we gave advice for general. What advice would you give yourself, Patrick now, to Patrick 2021? What advice would you give yourself that you wish you had for yourself going through that? Because you're going through it. We're on the tail end of it. I mean, there's still a road ahead, obviously, that we've talked about. And you've said earnestly that, you may have been a bit passionate and reactionary back then, and maybe you're a leveler head now, having been through things. So can you think of anything that you might be like, oh, I wish that Patrick knew what this Patrick knew or thinks this way?
I would say the biggest thing I would have changed would have been like, I do it for work, a notebook. Every question I had, every little thing that I went through, because I think that the biggest place of frustration between Tiffany and myself was she basically became the doctor answering my questions because she had all that information, because she retained all that information and she just had to live it. And now she comes home, and when I want to get downloaded, now she like, whoa, everything that went through the hospital today, or like even when we were there, but it's like, or, hey, I mean, they gave you this great binder, so maybe I write down a question and I can flip through that binder and answer it myself without having to interrupt. Like, just little things, just track everything that's going and try to find. I would have challenged myself to find a daily positive, like if it's in that same notebook, like because, and I get it, you're in the thick of it, but like you only see negative for a long time. So if it's like, even if it was just like, hey, JC, my son, he tried peas today, like something like
just
new food,
something.
Just something that wasn't this negative harp, I would say would be the biggest thing. But
because you can get consumed on that negative, and just finding that one little positive can break you from being kind of drawn down into.
Just at least makes you think about something other than so like I would say that with that, and just like a notebook, just track it, because
that's very smart for anybody going through anything medical.
You're being thrown so much information, and yes, they're giving you a lot of pamphlets and handouts, and you can build the binder and keep building the binder, and
don't be afraid to ask them to repeat it. That's a big thing, because I think in that room when you're getting information, because they're so used to it, and it's language you're not always used to, that I think sometimes people are afraid to be like, I'm sorry, I don't understand that. Could you repeat it?
No, there were definitely moments, and I think it was like, there were also moments that I think it's like, that's where my role got to maybe be the court jester for the minute, because I know it would have made like Tiffany uncomfortable to be like, I don't understand what you're saying. So I'm going to be like, hey, can you explain it to me like I was 5 years old, please? And then we would get the information that we need. But like sometimes it just took somebody that me, who the end of the day, really, you're here to take care of my daughter. I don't care what you think of me as a person. Like I appreciate you. I'm not anything against you, but our goal is the same. So yeah, I'm not going to be embarrassed if.
You shouldn't. And
I brought an air mattress into my daughter's room. I wasn't sleeping on that chair one more time. I didn't care. We blew up the air mattress. Like, that's where we were sleeping.
Well, that's what I think. People need to. Because I think people can be intimidated by doctors. People can be intimidated to ask questions, and it's like, it's your care or it's your kid's care. Never be like, don't be afraid to ask more questions. If you have not if you're leaving the room and you still don't understand, stay in the room. Understand as much as you can. But writing down, keeping a binder is really good advice for people.
And like in a weird way, also like, I think this one comes from being in hotels so much, is like, think about the amenities you're entitled to at the hospital. Like, I'm not saying like,
I'm not saying take advantage.
No, but like, understand that nurse, like, unless you're ripping your daughter's IVs out of her arm, she's not the police. She's not in there to police you. If she offers you a ginger ale, don't feel like you're a burden if you're parched. Take the ginger ale.
I've had to change that mentality.
I mean, there's I remember like when they were both born up in Nashville, and it got to the point that it was like, I just got the code to the room where they kept everything, so I didn't have to ask them. Like, and now I look back on it and I'm like, it might not be directly the same way it is at a hotel, but I'm paying for this stay. Like, and just think about that and be like, listen,
the amenities.
Just think about the, like, I'm not saying take the little like thing off the wall to resuscitate somebody and try to sneak it out in your purse. But I mean, if you want to bring in some cheese and crackers and plug in a mini fridge, do it.
Yeah. I mean, let them know, but also,
I mean, and don't use the red outlets, but besides that, you're good.
Also good advice. All right, so who do you think would best enjoy, what type of person, and I think I'm going to assume the answer on this, best enjoys your comfort food? The chicken pot pie, the lasagna. Who do you see like this is who this is for?
I mean,
to me, lasagna's for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of
I'm a
where
Garfield too on it. So.
I mean, that's where my head's at. But at the same time, I just think anybody seeking nourishment in like a weird way, because at the end of the day, you don't need anything else. Like, sure, you want to stretch it. I'm not trying to convince you that pizza's a salad or anything, but like you do have tomatoes in the sauce. You have a protein. You have a starch. Like both of my dishes are essentially balanced meals just in casserole form. So like if you want to sleep well that night, but at the end of the day, I mean, they're colder weather meals, but yeah, I'll eat lasagna anytime. The pot pie really, one will probably get made this week just because it's going to be on my mind from this podcast, or maybe honestly, maybe even next week because kids are out of school, so it might be just that easy one to make in the morning and just throw in the oven later in the day.
But I think both of those dishes are for like that family table or just your friends getting together. But it's definitely that communal table. There's a pot in the middle.
They're 100% that communal meal for sure. And it's one that you could easily bring to a potluck style or anything like that and show up and be like, yeah, here I have the main part of the table and you know, a Caesar salad or something on the side if you feel so needed for those greens. But
So here's my next question. This is what I always find interesting, and this will go right into a compliment to you, and then we'll wrap up the episode. But what is your how do I say it? Your guilty pleasure food? So I know what your comfort food is, but what's the guilty pleasure food of yours?
That's pizza, probably. Like,
pizza?
Well, here's the thing. It's just like right now my daughter's diet is like 50% pizza, 25% tacos, and like 25% spaghetti.
Am I your daughter?
And we'll throw some chicken nuggets in there every once in a while. So we eat a substantial amount of pizza nowadays in my house. Okay. So I would probably have asked me this 6 months ago, easily said pizza. Like I could eat pizza all the time. I love pizza. Right. But like right now, and I'm not plugging anybody on your podcast, but the Violet Stone's cheesesteaks literally have me good. Like, I dream about them. I dream about them. And like, their pizza's good, but I'm not going there for their pizzas. No. And like, I haven't found a Philly like that. And like, again, it's like, that's my guilty pleasure.
They just moved to a bigger spot. That's how well they're doing.
Yeah, for sure. And like, sure, that's all social media driven for me to be out here, and I'm not over on this side of the bridge nearly as
steak, cheese, meat. You do peppers and onions on it?
I do the onions, and then I get there like the Cooper's American or whatever it is. That's like the aged. It's still got a little like that sharp cheddar tang, but the creaminess of the American still. I don't know what it is, but it's like, I had a couple Philly spots up by me, and now it's just like I can't go to them.
It's been ruined.
But like those kind of, I like a warm sandwich, like a sub, like even like a pub sub, like anything along those lines. Okay. I mean, I'll be honest, we do, like we'll just call it Publix Deli, like for dinner, like as a family, because like popcorn chicken or chicken tenders will knock out the kids. If you want a sub, if I want fried chicken, if she wants chicken wings, like, and it'll just be like, what do you want to do for dinner? And it'll just be like Publix Deli. And might as well have gone out to dinner with Publix prices nowadays. But I didn't have to tip anybody, so we got that going for us.
So that leads into one of my guilty pleasure foods, and it's so funny. And you know, we have our history of working in some very nice places and working with some incredible ingredients, and I have been around some of the best food. But you know for a fact, one of my favorite meals you've ever made for me, right? You can assume. All right, I'll jog your memory.
Yeah, jog the memory.
So one time, and again, we were working in a very fancy restaurant at the time, and I don't know, busy day or not busy day, I was going through the back, and I realized for whatever reason, you guys had accidentally gotten chicken nuggets in. And this is not a restaurant that carries chicken nuggets. But then I was just I was getting something out of the walk-in freezer, and I was like, "There's chicken nuggets in here." And I go to you you were like chef de cuisine of the restaurant at the time. I was like, why do you guys have chicken nuggets? Nobody told me we had chicken nuggets. I want chicken nuggets, right? And this is what a manager at a fancy hotel does. And then I remember I was doing my rounds, whatever I was doing, helping, managing or whatever. And then you came up and you were like, "Hey, I put some food in your office for you." And then I went in there and you prefaced, you said, You dress like a 10-year-old, so I assume you eat like one too. And there were 2 to-go boxes on my desk in my office. And I popped one open, and it was just filled with chicken nuggets. And I popped the other open, and there was like 8 different dipping sauces in there. You just put like every dipping sauce you could find.
Just so we're clear, I'm glad I'm not employed there anymore because it sounds like a food cost nightmare looking back on it. But
and I was just like, oh my God. And it was just, but it's so, I mean, again, we had all that at our disposal, but there's something about just like a fucking chicken nugget and like all these dipping sauces, which I was just like, this. So it's dumb, but it's one of those things like when you're among friends and when you're just in a moment and you're just in that kind of day and you're running around and you're working and you were like, I can just nibble on chicken nuggets all day. That's one of my guilty foods is like, so by the way, since then, I've made chicken nuggets from scratch. Because I was like, I'm going to chef it up, right? And so, and I did. I made chicken nuggets from scratch, and I made sauces from scratch and so on. And the problem with that is they were delicious. And now Matt wants me to make chicken nuggets all the time. But, like, not buy them. He, like, wants me to make, and I was like, they're annoying. They're annoying to make. They're delicious when you make them from scratch, but they're not fun.
yeah, Tiffany does chicken tenders, and I'll be lucky if we get them once a month, like just because of the amount of prep and time, and then the frying, standing over that oil, and all of that. That's a lot of work. No, but it's funny that you say that because as actually recently at work, I had somebody come up to me and just ask me because of what you find yourself like munching on at work, whether it's chicken tenders or just like finger foods because you are running around all day. They were like, have you always ate like a 5-year-old or just since you had children? And I was like, no, this is just the life.
This is the life that you live in a restaurant.
I mean, everybody out there thinks that we're eating the steaks that we're serving and all that kind of, no. I'm eating chicken nuggets and ranch dressing in the back while I put out your $60 steak. Like, that's the reality.
We don't get that part. All right. Well, that is the end of a podcast. I appreciate you being on. Thank you for sharing the story about your daughter, and I'm glad that she's kind of on the tail end of it.
No,
I love getting
technically cancer free, so
I love getting to connect with you. You're not on social media, so I can't tell people to follow you anywhere.
But hopefully, sooner than later, we'll have something out for Team Dino Roars, which will be something to help with pediatric cancer. We do a walk every year, which is the Cheval Cares 5K. It's in September. Tiffany's kind of one of the members that helps put that on.
Awesome.
And we have our Team Dino Roars that walks in that every year, and we've slowly grown over the years. Like you said, I'm not on social media, so don't expect this tomorrow, but I want to get something up there and out there to try to just continue to drive the awareness for everything that is pediatric cancer. And
so that's something you and Tiffany have started putting together on
something that I've put together. Okay. She's doing. I mean,
she to push her out of that credit real quick. Wow.
Hey, I was gonna give it to her because she's hesitant. Because I'll be honest with you, she assumes that I'm in some sort of like tax loophole mindset. So she watches too much Real Housewives and sees all these ladies going down, so she's not ready to sign off on whatever charity I'm putting together.
That's fair. She's always been the smart one.
So it's not trying to push her out. She's very much all for everything that I want to do with this charity. She just necessarily, maybe just from an IRS standpoint, doesn't want her name on it.
But that's awesome. That's awesome that, A, everything's going well with your job, but also, B, you're finding to put more positive spin by trying to help more people, more awareness, more out there.
I mean, my social media draw will probably be like 5 people, but that's 5 more people that at least got some information, right?
100%. And, let us know. I'll put it out to, the 5 more people I know. And between us, that's 10 people. So, again, I appreciate it. I love getting to catch up with you when we get to. It's never enough. And, thanks for doing the podcast, and that is It Gets Butter.
Awesome.